Good morning, Tuckasegee. I love that setup. It's just kind of laid back after the week that I've had. Maybe you've had kind of the same week. I told somebody, I was like, man, I really honestly believe, and as a pastor, we were in leadership, we were putting stuff together, moving into the Christmas season. And 2019 felt like it was a really heavy year. I mean, just with the news and everything, it just felt like there's this big weight. And there was just this push. I mean, I felt it, and we kind of saw it like a push towards the hope of Christmas. It was crazy because people were putting up their Christmas trees earlier and all that stuff. And me, who was usually a bah humbug type of guy, I was like, you know what, man, just do it, right? Just do that. Let's get some Christmas season feelings in here. Let's get that hope in there. And I think people were coming into 2020. It's like, this is going to be it. 2018 didn't work out the way I thought it was going to. In 2019, I can do without that. But 2020, this is going to be it. This is the year I get it figured out. This is the year all that stuff falls into place. And if you're kind of like me, I'm coming into February 2020 going, oh, it all fell off the table. Right? If the weather's going crazy, it doesn't help. There's a full moon, right? We had bookended days of snow with in between 70-degree weather and tornadoes. I don't even know how to do that. I mean, I talk about the weather a lot, and we complain about North Carolina, but I can't even deal anymore with that. I had a wonderful privilege to do chapel at my kids' school at Gaston Christian here in Gastonia, and I was preaching chapel there for the high schoolers and getting ready to head out, and the announcement comes down to duck and cover, and I was like, well, what's that mean? There's a tornado coming, and I was there with another guy, and he's like, you think we can make it? And I was like, I don't feel like chancing it. The January and February that I'm having, I'm like, nah, we good, right? And in the meantime, my stepdad's being admitted to the hospital, and there's just life's happening. Just life. I'm not mean to vent to you guys, but hey, if I can't vent to you, who can I vent to, right? This is the circle of trust. And so now more than ever, I think we're starting to understand that we need each other, that you need this community, you need relationships, the idea and the truth that we were created for relationships. We are not to do life alone. We are created, right, for relationships, and we are, for lack of a better word, better together. And I think this idea of being better together is best seen in today's sermon. We're going to talk about this idea of friends, like real friends. Those people who you can go and talk to, right, when your life's a joke and you're broke and your love life's DOA, when your life always feels like it's stuck in second gear and it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or your year, you need those friends who will stay there and say, I'll be there for you. Maybe you need those friends in your life who are there, who have gone down that road with you and back again, who are true, a pal and a confidant. Those ones that if you ever threw a party, you would see that the biggest gift would be from them, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend. I feel the spirit of Sophia Rose Blanche upon me now. Some of y'all will get that later. Some of you may never get that, and I don't even care anymore. It's this idea of true friendship. And you go through life, and let me say this too, because there are these lifelong friends that you develop, and especially as you get older, I've noticed that my circle has gotten smaller but tighter. When you're younger, you're more fluid. You're moving in and out of different places in your life, whether it's high school or going into college or different workplaces, and you've not really settled down yet, and that you have a lot of these friends, and it feels like your circle is really large, but it's when life happens and things come through, you notice that it's a lot smaller than you think it is. And we want to talk about this idea of friends. And I want to talk about this too. Don't get me wrong. There's these lifelong friends, but we do have friends that come into our lives for a season. There are seasonal friends. There's friendships that I had that I thought would last forever, right? But they have kind of gone on and done different things, and we've gone further and further apart and not as close as we used to be. I see that, and that's okay, right? You can't begrudge that. Those people were there for a season and for a purpose. And now I'm noticing in a new season of my life that God's put new friends in my life and new people in my life. I want to tell you something, right? I'm not just saying this because they come here, but I've been blessed, right, to be put into a wonderful neighborhood. And I don't know if I got like one of those neighborhoods, dude, that when I tell you this, you should want to come and move into my neighborhood. In our neighborhood, we call it the cul-de-sac, right? And we got like 8 houses in the cul-de-sac, and all of us have kids. We're all kind of in the same spot in our lives. But I've learned so much about community by watching these folks in my neighborhood. All the doors are like open all the time. There's like an open door policy. Everybody's walking around and saying hey to everybody, and you just see people sitting in front of everybody in the different garages. I tell you all the time, we have free range kids. They're just running around and doing everything and doing it all. And I just sit there sometimes in awe and watch this because I never had this. When I was growing up, I had a neighborhood. It was me and one other kid, right? And that was it. And I watch this, and I get to see what real community and real life looks like. And it's really neat to watch these friendships come and go. And I'll tell you this is not bragging on me. This is bragging on them. Out of the 8 families in our little cul-de-sac, 5 of those come to this church. And I don't think that they come because I'm a great pastor. I think they come because they're great friends. And they want to support me. Dude, we're so good friends that our friendship stretches through the woods, right? Because we live in the country, to a 4-wheel trail. If you can get to our house in our neighborhood by 4-wheeler, you a friend and you family. Those are the things and the people that we need in our lives. And so today I want to talk about this idea of friends. The verse that kind of plays in our bumper, we see it all the time, but it's a good thing, a good starting point for this idea of what friends and our need for real friends are about. In Ecclesiastes chapter 4, Solomon is writing this, and it's a great practical aspect, and it makes sense. In Ecclesiastes chapter 4, he says, 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help, but someone who falls alone is in real trouble. You see, we need those people in our lives. Now, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. God knows and understands that people influence our lives. Who you hang around has a big influence on your life. Okay? The people, I can tell your future by looking at your friends. That says a lot about you, who you hang around. The Bible talks to this a lot. In 1 Corinthians 15:33, Paul says, don't be fooled, all right, by those who say such things. Why? Because bad company corrupts good character. The writer of Proverbs says, walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get into trouble. So it matters who you're around. It matters that you have a good circle of friends, but the right circle of friends. And so today I'm going to kind of walk through kind of 4 marks, 4 distinctions, 4 characteristics of what makes a good friend. And I want us to do this and understand as we kind of pull this together, this is all under the umbrella too. This works practically if you don't care about church, but it's going to find its best fruit and its best results, real friendship, when lived out through the gospel. And hopefully as we walk through this today, some practical things that you can kind of look at. And when I think about this too, these aren't just things that you should look for in friends. You should understand that these are things that people should look for in you as well. Not just what we should see in others, but what we hope that they see in us. And so when we kind of start walking through this, looking through this and unpacking these ideas, these marks of friendship, the first one we'll talk about is you need a friend and we need to be friends that tells the truth. Right? That's the big, right? The circle of trust. Real friendships have real honesty. We need to find friends who are willing to tell us the truth, and we need to be a friend who is willing to tell the truth. If you can't have truthfulness in your friendship, it's not friendship. There has to be that circle of trust, right? I call it, for me, when I talk about friends, I call it the open barn door standard of friendship. The open barn door standard of friendship. You know why that is? Because when I was a kid and your pants were unzipped, they would say, Jason, barn door's open. Barn door's open. Right? A real friend can tell you that your pants are unzipped. A real friend tells you you got lipstick on your teeth or a Klingon in your nose, okay? I know it's crude, but you all know that this is true. If you see somebody, just a stranger, walking down the street and they have either lipstick on their, or the worst, right, ladies, the static cling in the skirt and it's up over, you're just like, what do I do? I don't know them. I can't just go and brush their butt. That's not, there's a circle of trust. As a matter of fact, good friends will laugh at you and then tell you later too, right? That's true too. But there's a litmus test to that. Do I have a friend who tells the truth? Here's the thing, guys. When the Bible talks about in Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. That rock, that wit rock that we use to sharpen one another is the truth. Okay? And if you've ever sharpened a rock or sharpened something, you know that you have to be exact, that you have to look at it. When you're sharpening something, there's work involved. Iron sharpening iron. It's a slow process, removing the unwanted and leaving a keen edge. It's a careful process that takes time and attention. It's deliberate. But there's a deliberate attitude in our relationship as iron sharpens iron, where we're having those conversations and building one another up. We're telling each other the truth. We talk about this. I've told you this a lot. You know, I know that Emily loves me, and so when she tells me, baby, you can't go out of here dressed like that, or she says, baby, don't be singing, I know that she's telling me that because she doesn't want me to be embarrassed or embarrass the family. That she's looking out for my well-being. I trust her, right? I don't look at her and be like, you just don't get me and understand the awesomeness that is all of this. And you jealous, right? No, I look at her and I'm like, really? Okay, right? And she could mess with me and just dress me like a fool, and I would just believe her if she kept saying it was good. Why? Because I trust her to tell me the truth. Proverbs 27:6 says, wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy. Right? Wounds from a sincere, it means something. Sometimes we have to wound each other. I hear people all the time and they say, you know, we're friends and we've never fought. Trust me, dude. You can't know if you're friends if you ain't never fought. I fought with all of my best friends. We've had arguments and disagreements, and that's what makes us friends, because we can have those discussions and disagreements and those wounds, and they come back. Emily can say something to me sometimes, because can I tell you something? When I talk about my friends, I have one friend that I've had for almost 30 years, and that's my wife. And I trust her. And she can come, and sometimes she wounds me with what she has to say. And sometimes my reaction is not the best reaction, because I'm like, boom, and I raise up, and I bristle up, because that's what you do when somebody attacks you. And then I think, wait, she loves me. Wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy. I think that's where we get this idea when we hear this phrase of kiss-ups, right? That's it. Enemy, they're just kissing up to you to try to get something, about it. And we start seeing this and understand this. It's not about surrounding yourself with a bunch of kiss-ups, but surrounding yourself with people who will lift you up. And all of these things, when we see this, the wounds from a sincere friend, the iron sharpened iron, the truthfulness that we have to have, a friend, a real friend, is one that tells you the truth. Understand the context for all of our conversations is love. It's the foundation of that. It's why I can have those conversations with Emily. It's why my friends can tell me stuff and they can say it, and maybe they don't say it in like the best way sometimes, and maybe it comes across a little sarcastic because that's my love language, right? But they say it, and I know that they actually care about me. And they're looking out for my good and not my bad. The context for those conversations, the foundation, even when that wound hurts a little bit, I know that she loves me. And that she only wants what's best for me. I know that they're looking out for me when they say that. You see, deep friendships are formed around truth shared in love. It's grace and truth in our conversations and in our relationships. And so we talk about this idea that a friend tells the truth. The next kind of distinction that I see for a friend is a friend sticks it out. Right? A friend is somebody who sticks it out. You see, deep friendships aren't forged in our moments of success, but in our moments of failure. Now, you can have a lot of friends when everything's going good, when everything's going right, but who are the people there in the moments of failure, in the moments of need? It's easy to have a lot of friends when you're buying the drinks. Who's there when the money rolls out? Who's there when the things go bad? Deep friendships aren't formed in our moments of success, but in our moments of failure. Proverbs 17:17 says, a friend is always loyal, and a brother is born to help in the time of need. I love that. The loyalty of friendships, right? And again, let's bounce this back up to the truth, right? Loyalty isn't me, I'm going to stick with you, even when you're being wrong. It's like, I'm going to stick with you even though you're being wrong, but I'm still going to speak truth into you. See, these things are all interconnected, okay? It's not a la carte. I'm going to be a friend who tells the truth, and I'm going to be a friend who sticks there. No, if they're wrong, you got to be close enough to them to tell them wrong. But a friend is loyal, and a brother is born. We talk about it all the time, on purpose and for a purpose. God might have placed you in that person's life for such a moment as this, for this time of need. It may be seasonal, but it may be seasonal for the need. You may have gone through something that this person's getting ready to go through, and they're going to need you to walk with them through it. You see, friends don't walk away when things go wrong. They lean in. They don't lean back. They lean in. They put their shoulder to the plow with you. What's the worst thing a friend can ask you to do? Two things. Can you take me to the airport? Can you help me move? Right? Those are it, right? Who can you call right now that'll, besides your mom and dad, right? Some of you might not have that with me. I got fortunate to have great parents on both sides. I can call them for that. But who's your friends that you could call, and they may not like it. You got to like it because I love you, right? But they would do that. I know that I can check on my neighbors anytime, and they just show up because I can't do anything. And it's like I am like Tim Taylor, and they're like Al. If you ever watch the old Tool Time stuff, I just dated myself, right? Like I can talk and do all this stuff, but I can't do none of those things. But God has surrounded me, right, with people who lean in on that. And I see that in my neighborhood of those people working together. And I hope that you get to see that in your own life, that you can see these friends that don't walk away when things go wrong. They lean in. I might get a casserole out of this from my neighbors if they all hear this today. Be like, man, he loves us. I love him that way. He loves me way more than I love him. Here's the thing. When we do those things, we are fulfilling what we are called to do. What we call the law of Christ. When Jesus said in John 13, right, as I have loved you, love one another. Paul says in Galatians 6:2, share each other's burdens. And in this way, obey the law of Christ. I read that as a two-way street, though. Hear me. I can't help you carry a burden that you won't share with me. And you weren't created to carry that burden by yourself. I can't fulfill my duty to God and to you if you don't tell me. I don't know what I don't know, right? And so when we see that in Galatians 6, to share that, and in that way, fulfill the law of Christ. If I'm going to live out and be all that He has called me to be, we see this. When you stick it out together, that's when deep and lifelong friendships develop. So a real friend is one that tells the truth, is one that sticks it out with you, that's not just there when it's good, but there when you fail. And thirdly for us, I don't know if that's a real word, but I like saying it, right? A real friend is one that has your back, right? That has your back. Real friends respect one another and have one another's back. Kind of the negative of that. Proverbs 18:24 says, there are friends who destroy each other, but a real friend sticks closer than a brother. Listen, just because I know this crowd, right? This isn't a snitches get stitches mentality. Right? It doesn't mean, like Jeff Foxworthy said, like a real friend isn't one that bails you out of jail. A real friend is the one that's in jail with you. Like I'm not talking about that kind of, sticking it out, okay? See the first one, tell the truth, right? And stick it out with them. Having their back doesn't mean that you go down the wrong way with them. It means that you walk with them back up the path, okay? I know this crowd and I got to put that out there, right? We see that, right? Real friends respect one another and have one another's backs. It's an essential aspect of that. This is a refusal to undermine one another's character. I'm not going to undermine the character of one of my friends to somebody else. Let's tell us what this is. This is the idea of gossip. Why? Because here you are. If you have a real friendship and you're in that real relationship and you're telling each other the truth, the problem is that they're probably going to give you a bunch of stuff, right? Like they're going to put a lot of stuff in that. They're going to give you a lot of stuff. The kids, right? The kids call that tea, right? Gossip, that's tea. I don't know why. That's just what they call it. You can ask any of our teacher friends or any of you that have kids. That's what they call it. They call it tea, right? That's what gossip is. Proverbs 16, 27, 28 puts it this way, though. Scoundrels. I love that word. You scoundrels. I'm going to call my kids that. Just you scoundrels. Just next time you're disciplining your kids, call them scoundrels and see what happens. Scoundrels create trouble. Their words are a destructive blaze. A troublemaker plants seeds of strife and gossips. Separates the best of friends. You see, we have this opportunity, right, to stack up. They're not your friends if they're planting seeds of strife. If they're talking about, listen, if they're talking about someone to you, they're probably talking about you to someone. Sorry, but it's true. You know that they have your back if they have other people's backs. You know what destroys more friendships? You know what destroys more churches? What destroys more relationships is always they, them, and those. First Sunday when I took over in this church, first meetings that I had with leadership people 10 years ago, told this church, I don't listen to things from they, them, and those. I don't listen to things when it comes in elders meetings and it comes in leadership. Well, they said, no, I don't care. Bring me the person, because if they can't talk to me, right, then I don't need to hear about it. And don't come to me to talk. Here's the crazy thing, and I think it's because of, the fact that I'm a pastor and people, like, they come to me and say, hey, I need you to go and talk to my friend because they're really dealing with this, whatever problem. I'm like, have you talked to them? Oh, no, I can't talk to them. Then they're not your friend. Right? Don't talk to me about something that they're going through. I grew up in church, and I'm sure plenty of you did too, and in the Baptist church, the time for spilling the tea, right, was prayer meetings. Because you could get up and be like, Lord, we need to pray for Sissy, right? Because Sissy had done caught in that adulterous relationship with a man down the street who was a pornographer and a drug dealer. And last week I saw them, and they had the dogs fighting out there, and the police had to come out there. And then they go through this whole long story, right? And the next thing you know, everybody's listening, and they go, we need to pray. Like prayer request time was like reality TV in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and 80s, right? And y'all laugh because you know it's true if you grew up in church. People writing it down. Dang, did you hear that? Where'd you hear? It was prayer time. Wednesday night prayer service to get all my information. That is when the tea was spilled. Listen to me. Tea, when it's spilled, leaves a stain. It'll separate friends. Why? Because you broke the trust. You broke one of the 4 characteristics. You didn't stick with me. You didn't have my back. You couldn't tell you to tell the truth. It's a big aspect. So a friend is one who tells the truth, who sticks it out, who has your back. And listen, having your back, I think I said this, I want to reiterate this. Having your back doesn't mean, hey, I got you, we go get in trouble together. Have your back sometimes mean pulling your butt out away from trouble too. That goes back to tells the truth, to sticks it out. You see how these things all come full circle? People, keep up. Right? So a friend is one who tells the truth, who sticks it out, who has your back. And listen, this is probably a big one. A friend is one who celebrates your success. You see, we need friends in our lives who will celebrate our success. We need to be the type of people who celebrate the success of others. We have this mentality, especially in America, we get this mentality in our idea that somebody else's success means that they have cut a piece out of this success pie that I don't have access to. I see it specifically, easy for you to say, right? Specifically in like church meetings and things like that. New churches come in and preachers go, man, now they're trying to steal my people and trying to do all this like there's this small piece of pie. Listen, I've told you before, within 5 miles of this church, there's a piece of pie that's like 78,000 people big. There's not a single church in this area that has 78,000 people. We're not taking from anybody's pie. Your success isn't detrimental or determined or rises or falls on the success of others. We want people who celebrate your success with a kind and encouraging word. Proverbs 16:24, kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy for the body. Proverbs 17:22, a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit saps a person's strength. You see, true friends are for your success. Real friends are inspired by your success and not threatened by it. We can find ourselves, right, in our own lives. The great danger of us not living up to our potential is that we try to pull other people away from living up to theirs. That's not what a friend does. It's not about holding them back to where we are. It's about lifting them up and celebrating them and them lifting us up and celebrating us. And so when we get a picture of this and we start to understand that this idea of friendship in our lives lived out looks like somebody who tells the truth, that somebody who sticks it out with me, who's not there when everything's a success, but is there even when things are a failure. It's somebody that has my back, that I can trust with my truths, that I can trust with my feelings and those things and know that they will have me and have my back. Also, we see that a true friend is somebody who celebrates our successes, that is excited about the things that make us excited. And the truth is we see this all lived out in this idea of the gospel. Like it all comes back to that. Whether you know it or not, you will now, hopefully. When we see this idea of the gospel and friendships. In John chapter 15, we start to get a picture of this. In John chapter 15, Jesus is talking to the disciples, and he just got through talking to them, this idea of abide in me, of remain in me. And if you remain in me, you can do all things, but apart from me, you can do nothing. But at the end of this, and this is at the end of Jesus' earthly ministry, he's getting ready to go. He knows he's going to be arrested. He knows that he's getting ready to die. He knows that his time on earth is short, and he's talking to his disciples, these who would be his friends. And we see this intersection of the gospel and friendship. Jesus says, I have loved you even as the Father has loved me. Remain in my love. See, when you obey my commandments, you remain in my love, just as I obey my Father's commandments and remain in his love. And I've told you these things so that you would be filled with my joy. Yes, your joy will overflow. This is my commandment. Love each other in the same way I have loved you. You see, there's no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. And you are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you slaves because a master doesn't confide in his slaves. Now you are my friends since I have told you everything the Father told me. You didn't choose me. I chose you and appointed you to go and produce lasting fruit so that the Father will give you whatever you ask for using my name. This is my command. Love each other. That is the sole thing behind Better Together, is the living out of Christ's love. And we can have those friendships in the world. We can have friends in the world who tell the truth, who stick close, who have our back, and who celebrate our successes. But absent that gospel love, this agape love, they will always fall short and it will always leave us just a little empty. You see, we can't really truly be friends with others until we're friends with God and have that relationship with him. Because first and foremost, that's where it starts. And in the end, when we look at our lives, in the end, when we look at our friendships, in the end, a gospel friendship glorifies God. Let's stand. As we've read through this kind of list, this checklist of friendship, of real friendship, of gospel friendship, of living out this idea of better together, we've got a picture of looking at this and seeing what this is. You go through the checklist and you're like, all right, tells the truth, sticks it out, has my back, celebrates my success. And you look at that and you're like, all right, now I need to find a friend like this. Or do my friendships look like this? I would say, before you look out the window, look in the mirror. Am I a friend like this? Because a lot of times we want to complain and say, I don't have any friends. Are you someone who tells the truth in love? Not a critic, but a coach, right? Difference between a coach and a critic. A critic is out for their own opinion. A coach is out for the good of you. Do you tell the truth? Do you stick it out? Are you there thick and thin? Do you have their back? It's not just do you talk about people, but do you allow other people to talk about people? One of the hardest conversations I have with my kids is understanding, hey, it's not just don't say something about somebody, it's don't let somebody else. Because if you're listening, you're part of the problem. Do I celebrate the successes of others? Do I look at my neighbor when they get the new truck and go, man, that's so awesome? I'm excited for them. When they go on vacation and you see the pictures, or you just hate liking that they got to go to the Bahamas and you got to go to the bathroom. It's alliteration, is all I got. Because if you're not going to be surrounded by that. Because they got the same list you do now. And they're checking it out too, going, yeah, right? Look in the mirror before you look in the window. Heavenly Father, God, as we seek to be a friend, may we first seek to be friends with you. It's something we don't talk about a lot, because a lot of times we see that relationship as